Good morning, committee members, dear delegates. Please, can you take your seat? We are about to start. Bonjour, chers délégués. Je vous invite à prendre vos places. Chers membres du comité, nous allons commencer la session de ce matin. Merci.
Good morning, Excellencies, dear colleagues. Before we resume our session, I'd like to inform you of the outcomes of the 7th meeting of the Bureau. Yesterday, we completed the examination of item 8D and have made some good progress with a review of 15 nominations to the World Heritage List. 11 new properties were inscribed. 1 renomination and 1 extension were approved. And 2 nominations were referred. On this occasion, we are honored by the presence of the President of the Union of Comoros. Allow me to warmly congratulate once again on behalf of the entire committee all nominating state parties for enriching the World Heritage List. We are examining item 8D and item 8E. Today we will have 12 other nominations to examine. A list can be found on the updated calendar posted by the Secretariat on the 48th webpage yesterday evening. The Bureau also agreed that if the nomination advances well in the morning, we will reopen item 7E related to the state of conservation at 12 o'clock approximately. Starting with the Sundarbans, Bangladesh in the afternoon, if the nominations expected to be examined today are completed, we will again reopen item 7B on the state of conservation reports of Peninsula Valdez, Argentina, El Chinacate and Gran Desierto de Altar Biosphere Reserve, Mexico, and Mosioa, Tunya, Victoria Falls, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Considering that we are running late, and in order to accommodate discussions of some files of items that we today, the speaking time will be reduced from 3 minutes to 2 minutes for committee members. The Bureau also heard a report from Mr. Husseinzad, chairperson of the working group on the budget, on the progress of work of the group, which held its first meeting yesterday. The group will meet again today from 2 to 3 p.m. in the same room 205. Thank you. And I now invite IUCN to present. So, Excellencies, dear colleagues, I now invite IUCN to present the nomination of Bonabadingulio Migratory Landscape, South Sudan. IUCN, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Good morning to all colleagues and delegates. IUCN's evaluation of the Boma Badingilo migratory landscape can be found on the pages indicated on the slide, and IUCN recommends the committee to inscribe this property on the World Heritage List under natural criteria 7, 9 and 10. IUCN also recommends the simultaneous inscription of the nominated property on the list of World Heritage in danger, in line with the procedure for nominations submitted on an emergency basis, which are outlined in the operational guidelines, and I recall ICOMOS covered in detail in terms of the background of the requirements in their earlier presentation. Mr. Chair, the Boma Badingilo migratory landscape is located in southeastern South Sudan and comprises an extensive complex of savannas, wetlands and woodlands spanning over 11 million hectares. It encompasses the Boma and the Badingilo National Parks together with the surrounding wider ecological landscape. The nominated property is transformed seasonally through one of the world's most spectacular wildlife migrations. Each year, an estimated 6 million white-eared kob, tang and Mongala gazelle move through this largely intact and unfragmented environment in the largest terrestrial mammal migration globally. This natural phenomenon of exceptional scale and connectivity is considered to be of global significance under Criterion 7. Criterion 9 is justified. The Boma Badingilo migratory landscape forms a single functioning ecological system shaped by the complex interactions of seasonal flooding, wildlife movement and vegetation dynamics. It represents a highly important and rare example of the large-scale migratory systems that would have historically characterized many of the world's grasslands but have frequently been lost due to widespread fragmentation. The nominated property also supports important populations of globally threatened species, including large mammals, together with significant assemblages of waterbirds, raptors, and other migratory birds. Biodiversity inventories, although yet to be fully documented or studied, are likely to be an underrepresentation of the true biodiversity values found within the landscape, and we consider the Criterion 10 is justified. Mr. Chair, while strong natural values are demonstrated, significant further work is necessary to ensure the adequate protection and management of the nominated property. Although 2 national parks are included within the boundaries, the vast majority of the migratory landscape currently remains without official legal protection or designation. A comprehensive landscape scale protection framework, building upon the recently initiated national gazettement process and recognising the protective value of traditional land use systems, alongside strengthened legislative protection mechanisms, will be important for the long-term conservation of OUP. The existing management partnership between the State Party and African Parks provides a foundation for the management of Boma and Badingilo National Parks, but this should be extended to form a comprehensive management system across the entire nominated property, together with sufficient technical and operational capacity and sustainable financing. The Boma Badingilo migratory landscape is a culturally diverse area in which antelope migration have thrived alongside the traditional livelihoods and customary land use systems of indigenous peoples and local communities. The nomination reports important initial efforts that have been made towards obtaining free, prior and informed consent, although ASEAN notes that further consultations and the completion of this process is reported as a priority, together with effective community participation in the governance and management of the nominated property. With regard to integrity, the absence of a buffer zone is justified, given the large scale of the site, and the boundaries have been designed to ensure the key ecological processes and migratory dynamics are included. However, the nominated property also faces serious and escalating threats from increased commercial poaching, infrastructure, natural resource development, insecurity and conflict and management challenges, all capable of causing irreversible degradation of this landscape's extraordinary values. And therefore ASEAN considers the requirements of the emergency nomination to be met in terms of the requirement to demonstrate an emergency situation as defined within the operational guidelines. Mr. Chair, the draft decision can be found in document 8B as shown on this slide, and it contains ASEAN's recommendation to inscribe the nomination of the Boma Badingilo migratory landscape on the World Heritage List under natural criteria 7, 9 and 10, and for simultaneous inscription of the nominated property on the list of World Heritage in danger. Mr. Chair, in closing, ASEAN welcomes the State Party's commitment to the conservation of this globally extraordinary area. We stand ready to support the State Party in addressing the recommendations outlined in the draft decision, and we thank the State Party for the intense exchanges and collaboration in addressing this emergency nomination, which is in fact the first emergency nomination for a natural site that we've considered during the history of the Convention. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank you, ASEAN. with a very beautiful photo we are describing this property. As there is no proposed amendment, I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 48-AB.2. Unless there is an objection from the floor, I see none. I therefore declare draft decision 48-AB.2 adopted. Thank you very much. Let me congratulate South Sudan on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of its first property on the World Heritage List. South Sudan, you have the floor for a brief 2-minute statement. Thank you.
First and foremost, I give thanks to God for His grace, guidance, and faithfulness in bringing together us in this important occasion. Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the World Heritage Committee, Mr. Assistant Director General for Culture, Mr. Director General for World Heritage Center, representatives of ICUN, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of South Sudan, it is a profound honor to address this distinguished committee on this historic occasion. This month, South Sudan celebrated 15 years of independence. Today, our nation celebrated another defining milestone with the inscription of the Boma Badingilo migratory landscape on the UNESCO World Heritage List, our country's first World Heritage property. The government and the people of the Republic of South Sudan express their deepest gratitude to the World Heritage Committee for this historic decision. We also extend our sincere appreciation to the government and the people of the Republic of South Korea for their warm hospitality. South Sudan is profoundly grateful to UNESCO, the World Heritage Center, ICUN, fellow state parties, the African Group, and all international parties, partners and friends of South Sudan, whose technical, diplomatic, and financial support and on this achievement possible. We express our special appreciation to the government of Japan for the long-standing partnership in strengthening our capacity to prepare this nomination, and the African Park for its steadfast commitment to the conservation of this extraordinary landscape. Above all, we pay tribute to our local community whose generation of stewardship safeguarded this exceptional heritage. South Sudan accepts this honor with humility and responsibility that accompanies it. The inscription of property includes its placement on the World List of Heritage in Danger, strengthen our resolve to work even more closely with UNESCO and international community to conserve its outstanding universal value for the benefit of present and future generations. To South Sudan join the family of World Heritage Nations. This inscription is not only a victory for our people, but also a contribution to humanity, shared heritage, and our collective responsibility to protect it. On behalf of the government and the people of South Sudan, I thank the World Heritage Committee and all partners for walking this historic journey with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, before celebrating South Sudan's first inscription on the list of our World Heritage List, I'd like to give the floor to Senegal on behalf of regional group. And Senegal, you have this 3 minutes.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, le Sénégal voudrait, au nom du groupe africain, saluer la décision historique que vient de prendre le Comité du patrimoine mondial. Je veux nommer l'inscription du paysage migratoire de Boma-Badingilo au Soudan du Sud. J'en profite pour remercier chaleureusement le soutien apporté par tous les membres du comité à cet important dossier de l'Afrique, ainsi que tous les organes consultatifs de leur engagement, de leur accompagnement également. Nous sommes honorés d'accueillir le ministre de la Culture du Soudan du Sud, à qui nous exprimons nos chaleureuses félicitations pour cette distinction qui rappelle, s'il en était encore besoin, la richesse de la culture sud-soudanaise. Le paysage migratoire de Boma-Badingilo offre le spectacle des dernières migrations de faune sauvage, les plus spectaculaires du monde. Chaque année, on estime que 6 millions de coqs de buffon à oreilles blanches, de tchan et de gazelles de Mongala se déplacent dans les vastes plaines d'inondation, les zones humides et les savanes en réaction aux pluies saisonnières et aux changements dans la disponibilité des ressources. Ce paysage migratoire est un exemple exceptionnel de processus écologique et biologique en cours associé à une migration d'ongulés à grande échelle dans un écosystème de savane saisonnièrement dynamique. L'interaction entre les pluies saisonnières et la productivité correspondante de la végétation et les déplacements associés des espèces sauvages entretiennent ce qui est probablement la dernière des dernières migrations terrestres de mammifères du monde. Cette inscription, Monsieur le Président, nous rappelle la place de choix qu'occupe le continent africain dans la préservation de la biodiversité mondiale. Avec cette inscription et celle des médinas des sultanats historiques des Comores intervenus hier, le nombre de pays africains n'ayant pas de biens sur la liste du patrimoine mondial s'élève présentement à 7. Nous espérons que ce bien ouvrira la voie à d'autres distinctions pour le bien du peuple sud-soudanais, du continent africain et du monde entier. Je vous remercie.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Once again, congratulations to South Sudan. Excellencies, dear colleagues, I now invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of ancient capitals of Asuka and Fujiwara, Japan. But before I give the floor to the Secretariat, Mr. Balsamo, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is to inform the committee that a notification of factual errors concerning the evaluation reports for the nomination of Japan's ancient capitals of Asuka and Fujiwara is to be found on page 29 of document in 8B4. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Balsamo. ECOMOS, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. This is the presentation of the ICOMOS evaluation of the ancient capitals of Asuka and Fujiwara, Japan. The ICOMOS report can be found in document INF 8B1 on page 94 of the English version and page 119 of the French version. On this evaluation, ICOMOS has received a letter on factual errors and has acknowledged some of these errors. Located in the southern part of the Nara Basin, Asuka and Fujiwara were two ancient capitals of the Japanese archipelago from the late 6th to early 8th centuries that marked the establishment of a centralized state system modeled after the Chinese codified law known as Ritsuryo. The efforts to centralize were motivated by engagements with Chinese and Korean powers during a dynamic period in East Asian history. Asuka and Fujiwara were influential in the formation of the subsequent Japanese capitals at Nara and Kyoto. The nominated property consists of archaeological sites selected to represent three tangible and spatial dimensions of the Asuka and Fujiwara capitals: the palace governments, office sites, Buddhist temple sites, and mountain tombs. The nominated serial property comprises 19 component parts surrounded by a single buffer zone, which together demonstrate the introduction and consolidation of the key elements of the centralized governance system. In the Ritsurio system, the facilities for government administration were co-located with the emperor's palace, combining ceremonial, political, and administrative functions as exemplified by the sites of the Asuka and Fujiwara palaces. 7 Buddhist temple sites make up the second typological category. Asuka-dera is the site of the first Buddhist temple in the Japanese archipelago and marked the beginning of the construction of the capital at Asuka. From this period, Buddhism spread amongst powerful clans who built private temples, and many were built at Asuka and Fujiwara, reflecting both Chinese and Korean influences. The selected temple sites also demonstrate the construction of state temples for the protection of the centralized state. The third group of sites are the 7 mounded tombs. For most of the tombs, the burial mound and burial chamber remain intact. The new burial system used at Fujiwara represented the hierarchy topped by the emperor. The comparative analysis justifies consideration of this property for the World Heritage List. The serial approach is justified on the basis that this is the combined evidence from the component parts that can demonstrate the processes and spatial meanings of capital development and governance. The nominated property demonstrates criteria 2 and 3. Criteria 2 is based on the ability of these sites to demonstrate the interchanges in governance models between China, Korea, and Japan in this period, as well as the introduction of Buddhism to the Japanese archipelago. Criterion 3 is justified on the grounds that the nominated sites constitute an unparalleled ensemble that bears testimony to the formative processes of centralized ancient capitals in East Asia. The conditions of authenticity and integrity have been met. The 19 component parts contain the necessary attributes to represent the characteristics of these early centralized state systems. The attributes are mostly below-ground archaeological sites that have been well researched and conserved. The boundaries are adequate, and the single buffer zone provides an added layer of protection. Key pressures are actively managed, and above-ground representations using non-destructive methods and materials have been established to aid interpretation. The component parts and buffer zones are protected by laws at the national and local levels, and changes or developments within these areas are strictly regulated. Some of the land is in private ownership and much is in farming use. There is a comprehensive preservation and management plan for the nominated serial property and its buffer zone. There is a coordinated management mechanism, and each component part has an individual management plan. The component parts and buffer zone are subject to systematic monitoring and maintenance. Some of the sites are tourism attractions, and there are plans in place for expected growth. There are several museums with collections and exhibitions about the sites. Generally, the attributes have a stable condition, and monitoring is in place. Wall paintings have been removed from the interiors of 2 of the tombs in order to carry out conservation treatments and to research the best means of ensuring their preservation in situ in the future. Here is a summary of the ICOMOS evaluation of the proposed outstanding universal value of the nominated property. To conclude, ICOMOS recommends that the ancient capitals of Asuka and Fujiwara, Japan, be inscribed in the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 2 and 3, and has included a number of further recommendations in the draft decision to support the long-term conservation of the property. Thank you, Chair.
I thank you, ICOMOS. Likewise, as there is no proposed amendment, I now invite you to adopt draft decision 48-8E.19. Are there any comments? I see none. I therefore declare draft decision 48-8B.19 adopted. Thank you very much. Excellencies, dear colleagues, let me congratulate Japan on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of this property. Japan, you have the floor for a brief 2-minute statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, distinguished delegates, Excellencies, distinguished participants. I am Kobayashi Shigeki, the State Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology. On behalf of the Government of Japan, I'd like to express my deepest appreciation to all committee members for inscribing the ancient characters of Asuka and Fujiwara. I'd also like to sincerely thank ICOMOS for their comprehensive and positive evaluation. This property bears an exceptional testimony to the important interchange of human values and to the formative processes of ancient capitals in East Asia. Today's inscription marks a new chapter in the long history of Asuka and Fujiwara. We reaffirm our commitment to transmitting this valuable property to the future generations. I'd like to share this historic moment with local communities in the Nara region and to all who have long dedicated themselves to protecting the inscribed property. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Yamashita, Governor of Nara Prefecture, to say a few words.
This is a very proud moment for Nara. Thank you to everyone who has made this inscription possible. Today marks a new beginning for ancient capitals of Asuka and Fujiwara. We promise you to protect this heritage and to share its value with the world and to pass it on to future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations once again to Japan.
Dear delegate, can I invite you to celebrate outside the room, please? Dear committee members, we need to continue with our work.
Okay, Excellencies, dear colleagues, I now invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of Tashkent Modernist Architecture, Modernity and Tradition in Central Asia, Uzbekistan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. This is the presentation.
Please, before I give the floor to the Secretariat, Mr. Balsamo first, and followed by ICOMOS presentation, Mr. Balsamo.
Thank you, Chair. We received a notification of the factual error concerning the evaluation report of the nomination of Tashkent Modernist Architecture, and this has to be found on page 43 of document INF8B4. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Balsamo. Now, ICOMOS, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is the presentation of the ICOMOS evaluation of Tashkent Modernist Architecture, Modernity and Tradition in Central Asia, Uzbekistan. The ICOMOS report can be found in document INF8B1 on page 167 of the English version and page 187 of the French version. On this evaluation, ICOMOS has received a letter on factual errors and has acknowledged some of them. Tashkent Modernist Architecture is a nominated series property comprising 10 modernist buildings and ensembles for public and residential use, constructed in Tashkent and one in Parkent district between the 1960s and the early 1990s. The nominated buildings include museums, exhibition halls, housing, cultural institutions, and scientific facilities. Altogether, the nominated series is presented as illustrating the large-scale transformation of the city, defining its major public spaces and marking a specific phase of Soviet architecture characterized by industrialized construction, adaptation to seismic risk and climate, and the combination of standardized systems with the locally adapted architectural solutions. 9 out of 10 component parts are located along the urban axis in Tashkent that were either newly created or substantially reshaped as part of the urban plans for the modernization of the city, whilst the big solar furnace is located in Parkent, about 40 kilometers east of Tashkent. The 10 nominated component parts are illustrated in these detailed maps. The property has been nominated based on criteria 2 and 4 as a synthesis of Soviet modernism and Central Asian traditional techniques, addressing seismic and climatic challenges through innovative design, experimental architecture, urban planning and social functions, with influence extending beyond the Soviet Union. Despite some shortcomings, the comparative analysis justified the inclusion of the 9 component parts located in Tashkent on the World Heritage list. They represent an outstanding adaptation of modernist themes to climatic, cultural and aesthetic conditions in Central Asia, resulting in one of the finest examples of architectural and urban design in the USSR in the final 3 Soviet decades. Although important nationally and regionally, the big solar furnace in Parkent does not contribute to reinforcing the urban planning qualities of Tashkent as a modernist city, and is therefore recommended by ICOMOS for exclusion. Throughout the evaluation process, the state party significantly strengthened the nomination. 9 component parts